Hello everyone and welcome again to Talent Sprint for the weekly edition of the weekly current affairs, this time for the week between the 8th of May 2017 and the 14th of May 2017. I hope you have been watching the earlier editions of the weekly current affairs also from Talent Sprint, and I do hope that you find them interesting and useful. As always, this week too, we are going to divide this video presentation into 6 segments. First, we will have the national news, then followed by the international news, then news on banking, economy and finance, then the news from the world of science and technology, followed by the other current affairs, and finally the sports news. As always, we begin with the national news first. The country's first biorefinery plant producing ethanol has been inaugurated. The country's first biorefinery plant producing ethanol from a variety of biomass has started functioning at Rahu in Pune district of Maharashtra. The plant can produce about 1 million litres of ethanol per annum. By processing a variety of agro-waste like rice and wheat straw, cotton stalk, cane crash and corn cobs with superior product results. It is hoped that the inauguration of this biorefinery plant will be a welcome addition to India's long list of refinery plants. In yet another feather to his already crowded cap, the Bollywood superstar Amitabh Bachchan has been appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador by the United Nations for Hepatitis. World Health Organization WHO has appointed Amitabh Bachchan as its Goodwill Ambassador for Hepatitis in the Southeast Asia region. He has been appointed to boost awareness to stop the spread of hepatitis, which is one of the leading causes of liver cancer and cirrhosis. As an ambassador, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan will participate in public awareness programs to scale up prevention measures, early diagnosis and treatment. The light combat aircraft Tejas successfully test fires air-to-air missiles. The light combat aircraft Tejas has successfully test fired an air-to-air missile. The test firing was conducted on a maneuverable aerial target at the interim test range in Chandipur in Orissa on the 11th of May 2017. All onboard systems performed satisfactorily during the launch, and the missile scored a direct hit on a target, destroying it successfully. It is yet another feather in India's missile program. In a move that is expected to pacify the residents of Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Meghalaya and to some extent the senior citizens as well, the government has exempted the residents of Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Meghalaya and citizens above 80 years from mandatory coding of Aadhaar to obtain PAN cards and file income tax returns. The Finance Ministry said the exemption has been given to an individual who does not possess the Aadhaar number or the enrollment ID. The exemption will also apply to non-residents and non-citizens as well. 15 states have joined the Uday scheme. Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha and Bihar have agreed to join the central government's electricity distribution utility DISCOM financial year turnaround scheme to take the total number of states who have joined the scheme to 15. Under Uday, states shall take over 75% of DISCOM debt as on the 30th of September 2015 over 2 years, where 50% of DISCOM debt shall be taken over in 2015-16 and 25% in the fiscal year 2016-17. About 90% of DISCOM losses are covered under the states that have joined the Uday scheme. India is all set to hold a cultural festival in Egypt. India will organize a cultural festival in Egypt to mark the 156th birth anniversary of the famous poet Rabindranath Tagore. The festival is being organized by the Maulana Azad Center for Indian Culture, the cultural wing of the Indian Embassy in Cairo. It will feature a dance show, film screening, a play and painting competition. Rabindranath Tagore received the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1913. The Rail Development Authority is to be set up for fixing fares and efficiency parameters, and this will be set up soon. The Rail Development Authority will be set up soon, and the Cabinet has approved the setting up of the same. It will not only do fare fixation, but also set up efficiency parameters for the Railway Ministry. National Rate Plan 2030 will be prepared in consultation with the state governments, public representatives and other relevant ministries for harmonious and integrated development of the rail network. Odisha is to introduce boat ambulance services. Odisha will introduce a boat ambulance service in 4 districts where people face difficulties in getting healthcare services. This service will be available in Koraput, Malkangiri, Kendarapara and Kalahandi districts of Orissa, where people face huge problems in availing ambulance services due to intervening large water bodies. The state government has sanctioned 6 boat ambulances for these areas. I am sure this move is going to be welcomed by all the citizens of those respective areas, and they will be able to get a better health care in faster time very soon. The move by Orissa government is very commendable indeed. India has been elected as the president of the UN Habitat. India has been unanimously elected as the president of the UN Habitat. UN Habitat, an organ of the United Nations organization, reports to the United Nations General Assembly. UN Habitat promotes socially and environmentally sustainable human settlements across the world. India has been elected as the president of the UN Habitat after a gap of 10 years. Moving on, the CRPF command shifted from Kolkata to Raipur. The Strategic Anti-Naxal Operations Command Headquarters of the Central Reserve Police Force CRPF has been shifted back from Kolkata to Raipur. In 2010, the Central Zone Command Headquarters was shifted from Raipur to Kolkata owing to logistics and connectivity issues. The recent decision comes at the backdrop of an ambush in Sukma district that killed 37 Jawans of the paramilitary force. In a heartwarming news for Indians, in the Times Rich List 2017, 3 out of 4 wealthiest in Britain are Indians. As per the Times Rich List 2017, 3 India-born citizens are amongst the top 5 richest people in Britain. The 29th edition of the Sunday Times Rich List released the names of UK's 1,000 wealthiest people, including 40 India-born citizens. Hinduja brothers Srichand and Gopichand have topped the list to become the top of the 134 billionaires the country of United Kingdom has seen, with an estimated 16.2 billion pounds of wealth. The Mumbai-born David and Simon Rubin have been placed at the 3rd position with a net worth approximately estimated at 14 billion pounds. India and Japan are to strengthen the defense cooperation. India and Japan have decided to strengthen the military cooperation between the two nations and hope to pursue a strategic partnership of ensuring regional peace and stability. India has welcomed the conduct of a planned trilateral naval exercise amongst the US, India and Japan in July 2017 as a means to strengthen the cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region. The Malabar trilateral exercise between Japan, the US and India are slated to be held in the Bay of Bengal from the 10th of July 2017. In a rather embarrassing move, the Supreme Court has sentenced Justice Karnan to 6 months imprisonment. A 7-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court, headed by Chief Justice J.S. Kekar, has sentenced the Kolkata High Court Judge Justice C.S. Karnan to 6 months of imprisonment for repeated incidents of contempt of court. This is the first time that the Supreme Court has sent a High Court judge to jail for contempt of court. Further, the bench also prohibited the media, both print and electronic, from publishing any further details or any further orders, if any, passed by Justice Karnan. This is a rather embarrassing move for the judiciary in India, and Mr. Justice Karnan has been evading the arrest ever since the order was pronounced. Maharashtra has joined the list of states who have approved the state GST bill. Maharashtra Cabinet approved the State Goods and Services Tax Bill, hailing provision to provide financial security to local bodies in state and protecting their autonomy. The sugarcane purchase tax, the central sales tax, the entry tax on vehicles, the entry tax on goods, lottery tax, forest produce tax, betting tax, octroi and local bodies tax will be scrapped after the state GST comes into force. The local bodies will be provided with adequate compensation in lieu of the GST coming into force. The railways are to acquire EOTT equipments to run trains without guards. The Indian Railways has planned to acquire the end-of-train telemetry EOTT services, or the end-of-train telemetry equipments, to run nearly 1,000 trains without guards in the current fiscal year. The EOTT system is designed in such a way that it will perform the guard's job. The EOTT system comprises 2 units, namely Cab Display Unit, or the CDU, which is fitted on the locomotive, and the Sense and Brake Unit, SBU, which is fitted on the last coach of the train. The units will be fitted with radio transmitter which can communicate with each other. The Supreme Court is all set to go digital, and towards that move, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has inaugurated the Supreme Court's Integrated Case Management Information System. The digital filing system will mark the Supreme Court's first step towards becoming a completely paperless digital court. ICMIS is hailed as the biggest and highest leap in the judicial system of the country. Subsequently, all high courts, district courts, subdivision courts will be integrated with the new system. The government has set up a task force for reliable employment data. The government has set up a task force to come up with a methodology to generate timely and reliable employment data. The Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi himself, has initiated the process and has asked the task force to submit its recommendations at the earliest. India and Russia have agreed to work closely in various areas. India and Russia have agreed to work closely in the various sectors, including security, nuclear energy, and disaster management. The progress made in the implementation of the agreement signed between the two countries in Goa last year during the BRICS summit was discussed at the bilateral meeting between India and Russia. The future roadmap is being implemented very enthusiastically. The government has been tightening the screws around the NGOs for quite some time now, and in the latest directive, the government tells NGOs to open bank accounts in the core banking format. Tightening the rules for the non-governmental organizations or the NGOs, the Home Ministry has asked as many as 5,845 organizations to open their accounts in banks having core banking facilities. They have been asked to furnish details for real-time access to security agencies in case of any emergency. It is the latest in a series of steps taken by the NDA government aimed at checking errant NGOs, especially those receiving foreign funding. As of now, there are about 24,000 active NGOs in the country, as against 40,000 in the year 2014-15. India's GM crop regulator approves commercial use of GM mustard. India's genetically modified crop regulator has recommended the commercial use of the genetically modified mustard in a submission to the Environment Ministry. The Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, the GEAC, the nodal regulator for genetically modified crop, has given a positive recommendation with certain conditions. GEAC has pushed the hybrid plant developed by the scientists at the Delhi University closer to becoming the first edible GM crop of the country. In a move to snub China, India has decided to skip the OBOR summit in China. India will skip the two-day grand OBOR summit organized by China to showcase its plans to build a network of trade routes under the One Belt, One Road concept. OBOR is an ambitious plan from China to develop the strategy and framework that aims to boost its connectivity and trade with the other nations. This will connect Asia, Africa, Middle East, and Europe. The summit is expected to be attended by nearly 65 countries. In a rather embarrassing situation, a ransom cyber attack plays havoc in several countries, including India. A global cyber attack has crippled nearly 100 countries, including India. A cyber gang called the Shadow Brokers, which is a mysterious organization, is held responsible for this massive cyber attack. The organization has carried out the attack by stealing a hacking tool called the Eternal Blue from the National Security Agency of the United States. The hacking tool Eternal Blue gives unprecedented access to all computers using Microsoft Windows. In India too, a couple of organizations, a hospital in Andhra Pradesh and an automobile plant near Chennai have been affected by this cyber attack. The government is well advised to take steps to improve and rectify the situation at the earliest before it becomes a national disaster. The Border Security Force is to use invisible laser walls Kavach to secure the border with Pakistan. The Border Security Force will make use of a newly developed technology that is capable of detecting intrusions and relaying information to the nearest post for action to safeguard the 198 kilometers India-Pakistan international border in Jammu and Kashmir. The new technology called Kavach or KVX series laser walls has been built indigenously and are a notch higher than the existing laser walls. That's all we have for you in the national news segment for this week between the 8th of May 2017 and the 14th of May 2017. And we now move on to the next segment of the current affairs, which is the international news. The first item of the international news is that Pakistan International Airlines has suspended the flight services between Karachi and Mumbai. Pakistan International Airlines suspends its flight between Karachi and Mumbai from the 8th of May 2017 due to commercial considerations. The airlines operated 2 flights a week between these 2 cities. The Lahore-Delhi operation will continue as traffic volumes on this route is satisfactory according to Pakistan International Airlines. In Germany, in the city of Hanover, people have been asked to move out of their homes. In Germany, more than 50,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes in the city of Hanover ahead of a large-scale operation to defuse unexploded bombs dating back to the Second World War. Officials said that a total of 13 unexploded ordnances from the 1940s found at a construction site are expected to be removed from the northwestern city. The evacuation, the second biggest since 1945, involves 3 heavily populated areas of Hanover, which account for nearly 10% of the city's entire population. Hollywood actor Emma Watson bags the first ever Genderless Award. Hollywood actor Emma Watson has received the first ever Genderless Acting Award for the Best Actor category at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. This is the first ever Genderless Award that doesn't separate nominees based on their sex. The 2017 edition of the MTV Movie and TV Awards were held on the 7th of May 2017 in Los Angeles, California of the United States. Emmanuel Macron has been elected as the President of France. 39-year-old Emmanuel Macron has been elected as the President of France. He became the youngest president and the occupant of the Élysée Palace. He is also the first president of France outside the country's 2 traditional main parties. Macron defeated Marine Le Pen, his far-right opponent, by securing about 19.3 million votes, while Ms. Le Pen secured about 10.4 million votes. Mr. Macron has since been sworn in as the President of France in a ceremony held in Paris on the 14th of May 2017. An Indian American has been nominated for the key post in FERC. US President Donald Trump has nominated the India-born American Neil Chatterjee as a member of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. FERC is an agency responsible for overseeing America's power grid and deciding on multi-billion-dollar energy projects. His term will expire on the 30th of June 2021. In a snub to Pakistan, the International Court of Justice stays the hanging of Kulbhushan Jadhav. The International Court of Justice, or the ICJ, has stayed the execution of the Indian national Kulbhushan Jadhav. He was sentenced to death by a Pakistan military court for alleged spying. The Hague-based International Court of Justice said Pakistan must take all necessary measures to ensure that Jadhav is not executed. South Korea elects Moon Jae-in as the country's new president. Moon Jae-in of the Democratic Party has won the South Korea's presidential elections. Moon, a former human rights lawyer, bagged around 41% votes in the elections held on the 9th of May 2017. The ballot was needed after former President Park Geun-hye was ousted and indicted for corruption. The oil prices rise on falling US crude stocks, Saudi Arabia's supply cut to Asia. Oil prices rose on 10th May 2017 and the Brent was firmly back over the $50 per barrel mark. A fall in US crude inventories and a more than severe expected cut in Saudi Arabia's supplies to Asia tightened the market. Brent crude futures, the international benchmark for oil prices, were at $50.33 per barrel at 0039 GMT on the 11th of May 2017, up by 11 cents or 0.2%. Sri Lanka has rejected Chinese submarine docking. Sri Lanka has rejected Chinese request to dock one of its submarines in Colombo this month. A senior Sri Lankan government official said that China's request to dock one of its submarines in Colombo this month had been rejected. Sri Lanka was unlikely to agree to China's request to dock the submarine at any time given India's concerns. A 1987 accord between India and Sri Lanka provides that territory is not to be used for activities determined prejudicial to each other's unity, integrity and security. US says Pakistan-based terrorist groups are planning to attack India and Afghanistan. A top US spy master has said that the Pakistan-based terrorist groups are planning to attack both India and Afghanistan. Islamabad has failed to curb militants and terrorists in Pakistan. These groups will present a sustained threat to the United States' interests in the region and continue to plan and conduct attacks in India and Afghanistan, according to the US spy master. That's all in the international news segment. We now move on to the third segment of this weekly current affairs for this week between the 8th of May 2017 and the 14th of May 2017. And this segment is on banking, economy and finance. The first news in this segment is that the government has revised the base year of wholesale price inflation. The government has revised the base year of the wholesale price index, WPI, and the index of industrial production, IIP, to 2011-12 from 2004-5. As per the new series, April WPI inflation stood at 3.85% and March IIP at 2.7%. The consumer price index-based inflation in April stood at 2.99%. It was said by the government that in order to give a more accurate picture of the price index, the base year was revised from 2004-5 to 2011-12. The Income Tax Department has launched a new e-facility to link Aadhaar. The Income Tax Department has launched a new e-facility to link a person's Aadhaar with the permanent account number or the PAN. The department's e-filing website has created a new link on its homepage, making it easy to link the two unique identities of an individual. In case of any minor mismatch in Aadhaar name as compared to the actual data in Aadhaar, a one-time password will be sent to the mobile register with Aadhaar. Taxpayers should ensure that the date of birth and gender in the PAN and the Aadhaar are exactly the same. This is indeed fantastic news from the technological giant Apple. Apple is a country on its own and is the 17th largest economy in the world. Apple has become the first company ever in the world to enjoy a market capitalization of $800 billion US. If it were a country and iPhone is capital, Apple would have been the 17th largest economy in size after Indonesia. At a rupee-dollar exchange rate of 65, the BSE market capitalization at 125 lakh crore or $1.9 trillion in dollar terms, which almost equals India's $2.2 trillion GDP for 2016 as estimated from IMF. This means that Apple has got almost 2/3 of India's GDP as its market capitalization. A phenomenal performance indeed from a phenomenal company. India to become the third largest consumer economy by 2025, says the Boston Consulting Group. India could end up as the third largest economy in terms of consumer spending by 2025 according to a report by the Boston Consulting Group. Consumption in India is set to triple to $4 trillion by the year 2025. Nominal year-over-year expenditure growth of 12% is more than double the anticipated global rate of 5% and will make India the third largest consumer market by the year 2025. SBI Life is to hire 8 banks to manage its initial public offer. SBI Life Insurance Company is all set to hire 8 banks including the Citigroup, Deutsche Bank and BNP Paribas to manage up to its $1 billion or 1,000 crore rupees initial public offering of shares. The life insurance arm of the State Bank of India will hire 5 local banks, the Axis Capital, ICICI Securities, JM Financial, Kotak and SBI Capital Markets to manage its IPO. State Bank of India owns 70.1% in SBI Life, while BNP Paribas Cardiff owns 26%. KKR and Temask own 1.95% each. This is a very embarrassing news for RBI, and it says that after 6 months, RBI is still in dark on junk notes. Even after 6 months after the demonetization exercise, the Reserve Bank of India is yet to complete the accounting of the withdrawn 1,000 rupees and 500 rupee notes. RBI said that the accounting of the specified bank notes or SSNs at the currency chests need to be reconciled with the physical cash balances to eliminate an accounting errors and possible double counting. The central bank said that as of November 8, 2016, the date on which the demonetization was announced, there were 17,165 million pieces of rupees 500 and 6,858 million pieces of 1,000 rupee notes in circulation worth rupees 15,44,035 crores. The benchmark indices have closed at an all-time high. The 30-share BSE Sensex reached its record close of 30,248 points on the 9th of May 2017. The index has surpassed its previous record of closing of 30,133.35 points reached on the 26th of April 2017. The NSE Index Nifty has breached the 9,400 mark for the first time. The NSE Index registered a high record of 9,415 points as on the 9th of May 2017. The indices have settled at their respective closing highs after the IMD's now new monsoon forecast that has predicted that India is likely to receive a higher monsoon rainfall this year. State Bank of India has taken the cue and has cut the home loan rates further. In order to give a fillip to the affordable housing segment in line with the Prime Minister's vision of providing housing for all by the year 2022, State Bank of India has declared interest rate reduction in the housing loan. SBI has announced an interest rate cut of up to 25 basis points for affordable housing loans under 30 lakh rupees. In a limited period offer, which will be valid till the 31st of July, salaried women borrowers can avail loan at an interest rate of 8.35%, offering a reduction of 25 basis points, while for the non-salaried, the rate cut will be a 20 basis point. Invoice matching mechanism in GST to check frauds. The invoice matching mechanism in the Goods and Services Tax, which will be rolled out from the 1st of July, will help curb fake bill frauds. There is only one GST return which internally auto-populated returns for invoice matching and availing of input tax credit. It is through the invoice matching and automated return mechanism that the government can ensure that eligible input tax credit is accurately transferred between the states. After the indices, it is the turn of the forex reserves to reach their lifetime high. Forex reserves in India have reached a lifetime high of $375.71 billion. India's foreign exchange reserves have increased by $2.985 billion to touch a lifetime high of $375.71 billion in the week that ended on the 5th of May 2017. The increase was due to the increase in foreign currency assets. The components of India's foreign exchange reserves include foreign exchange assets or FCAs, gold, special drawing rights or SDRs, and RBI's reserve position with the International Monetary Fund or IMF. We now move on to the next segment in this week's current affairs, and that is the segment on science and technology. China has simulated a lunar-like environment. China has set up a 160 square meter or a 1,720 square feet laboratory dubbed Yuan or Lunar Palace for simulating a lunar-like environment. 4 postgraduate students from the Beijing's Astronautics Research University will live in the laboratory for up to 200 days in a bid to prepare for China's long-term goal of putting humans on the moon. The student volunteers would be sealed inside the cabin with no input from the outside world in order to simulate long-term self-contained space mission. NASA has detected signs of water in a distant Neptune-sized planet. Scientists have detected a strong water signature in the atmosphere of a distant Neptune-sized planet called the HATP-26b. The study conducted using NASA's Hubble and Spitzer space telescopes has showed that HATP-26b has a primitive atmosphere composed entirely almost of hydrogen and helium. Although the planet is not a water world, its atmosphere, which is relatively clear of clouds, has a strong water signature. Researchers have detected the presence of water by pooling data. Pneumococcal conjugate vaccine against pneumonia launched. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, JP Nadda, has launched the new pneumococcal conjugate vaccine PCV for pneumonia at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Medical College Hospital in the Mandi district of Himachal Pradesh. The vaccine will help in controlling pneumonia and reducing the child mortality rate. The vaccine will provide protection against 13 types of pneumococcal bacteria, which results in pneumonia. The next segment of this weekly current affairs for the week between the 8th of May and the 14th of May 2017 is the other current affairs. Buddha Purnima has been celebrated in different parts of the country and abroad on the 10th of May 2017. It is not only the day on which Gautam Buddha was born, but also the day on which he attained nirvana under the Mahabodhi tree at Bodh Gaya. A special puja was performed at the Mahabodhi temple to mark the occasion. May 11th is celebrated as the National Technology Day. National Technology Day is being observed across India on May 11th to mark India's technological advancements. The day is being commemorated to celebrate the anniversary of the first of the 5 tests of Operation Shakti or Pokhran 2 nuclear test held on May 11, 1998 in Pokhran in Rajasthan. On this same day, the country's first indigenous aircraft, Hansa 3, was test flown at Bengaluru. In the final segment of this weekly current affairs for the week between the 8th of May 2017 and the 14th of May 2017, we move on to the sports news. After weeks of speculation, the Board of Control for Cricket in India has announced the squad for the next month's Champions Trophy tournament. BCCI has announced a 15-member squad for the ICC Champions Trophy tournament 2017 to be held in England from the 1st of June 2017. The members of the team are Virat Kohli, who will be captaining the team, Mohammad Shami, Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, MS Dhoni, Ajinkya Rahane, Yuvraj Singh, Kedar Jadhav, Hardik Pandya, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, Umesh Yadav, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Jasprit Bumrah. India, the defending champions, are in Group B with Pakistan, South Africa and Sri Lanka. It begins its campaign against Pakistan on the 4th of June at Edgbaston. Indian boxer Kavinder Singh Bisht qualifies for the World Championships. Indian boxer Kavinder Singh Bisht has qualified for the World Championships in the 52 kg category. With Bisht, India now has 5 boxers confirmed for the World Championships. They are the bronze medalist Vikas Krishnan in the 75 kgs and Amit Pangal in the 49 kg weight categories, and the silver medalist Shiva Tampa in the 60 and Sumit Sangwan in the 91 kg categories. Jhulan Goswami is the highest wicket taker in women's one-day internationals in cricket. Jhulan Goswami has become the highest wicket taker in one-day internationals for women. Goswami has so far taken 181 wickets in 153 matches. She has broken the world record held by Australian fast bowler Catherine Fitzpatrick, who has taken 180 wickets. Sakshi Malik, Vinesh Phogat and Divya Cochran win silver in the Asian Wrestling Championships. 3 Indian women wrestlers, Sakshi Malik, Vinesh Phogat and Divya Cochran, bagged silver medals in their respective categories in the Asian Wrestling Championships being held in New Delhi on the 12th of May 2017. Rio Olympic bronze medalist Sakshi Malik lost a final bout against Japan's Risako Kawai in the 60 kg category. Vinesh Phogat lost the final in the women's 55 kg category and Divya Cochran in the 69 kg category to settle with silver medals. In the Asian Wrestling Championship for men, Bajrang wins the first gold medal for India. Bajrang Punia provided India its first gold medal on the penultimate day of the Asian Wrestling Championships. He defeated South Korea's Seng Hui Lee 6-2 in the men's 65 kg freestyle category. Wrestler Sarita settled for a silver medal in the women's category. She lost 0-6 to Aislulu Tininbekova of Kyrgyzstan in the final of the women's 58 kg category. And that's all we have for you in this weekly edition of Current Affairs for the week between the 8th of May 2017 and the 14th of May 2017. I do hope you enjoyed watching this in as much as I enjoyed presenting the same to you. Until I see you in the next video with some other topic, it's bye from me for now. Thanks for watching and please continue to keep watching the various videos from Talent Sprint. Thanks and bye.